Once again, go to FarrowJarroMusic.com. That's FARROJARRO music.com for the hottest beats in the game.
Farrow.
Things are heating up in the ATL. Looking for sports talk, guy talk, with the blend of hip-hop culture that turns up? Tune in to Cooking with the Microwave with your host, Jay Fish. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 105 Eastern Standard Time on X-Squad, affiliate.com/SME. The club is going up. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You are tuned in to
It's the Wait a Minute Show.
your man, Jelani JB Bodie, and my co-host who's been pretty quiet tonight, Lopan.
Indeed.
Yeah, Lopan went out last night. Got in late or early, maybe we should say that. And he's been a little quiet tonight. I think he's recovering. You know, Lopan ain't no spring chicken like he used to be.
Indeed.
So he recovers a lot slower, you know. But you know how Lopan is. He go hard. He said go hard or go home.
Indeed.
So you went hard and you went home. But shouts out to my man Gary G Money Joyner, who is in the building as well. Appreciate you jumping in here. Let me jump into the chat before we go to our next topic. Excuse me. I am so sorry about that. But we will get into this boxing match, you know, that it was a boxing match, you know. I won't disrespect my man Jeff Horn like that. But Big L has said Dallas would not make the playoffs. Nostradamus Big L, this is what he called himself, America. But, you know, he has a winning record right now. So I will let him keep the Nostradamus name for right now. But when he goes on this losing streak, like he will, then we will clown Big L. So he said Dallas would not make the playoffs. Minnesota will make the playoffs, Vince. So he's giving Vince a good look, which, I mean, if you're getting 50 wins, book it. Like I said, yeah, that's going to get you to the playoffs, you know. And he's already talking about Horn will lose his next fight. We'll get into that. G Money is sending, Vince is sending G Money some love. So folks are showing love in the chat room, which is what we always like. And we are good. So, it's funny. Gary G Money Joyner is in here as well because we're going to talk a little bit New York basketball. And I really didn't get this. You know, I just thought it was kind of like, hey, we're bored, so let's just, you know, bring it up. But this whole thing but it's going to lead into what I really want to talk about. So, Knicks officials or executives or whatever you want to call it, bigwigs, they were at a summer league game as they should be, and they're watching, you know, their draft picks play and other guys that's trying to make the team. And one of the guys is watching the Steve Mills, if I remember his name correctly, but he's watching a video of Carmelo working out. You know, and they were talking about Carmelo's working out at 1 o'clock in the morning and all this stuff. And it was posted all over social media and everything. And so he's watching it, and him and the guys are getting a little bit of a giggle. So we don't know what they're saying, but everyone is, you know, really just speculating like, oh, these guys are just clowning, you know, clowning Melo and all this stuff. So I don't know what that really is about. You know, I'm not really going to, you know, dive off into, because even if they are laughing at him, okay, so what? You know, maybe they saw something funny. Maybe they saw something he was doing silly. Now, they did say that they were laughing at his trainer accent, which, you know, I don't know if that's true or not. But the more important part is is that while you sitting there laughing, or smiling, is that a smile of, hey, we're about to move Melo, or hey, we're about to try and put another piece around him and Porzingis? And I think it's more of, and they're talking about Melo may, drop his no trade clause. But of course, if he does, he wants to go to two teams. Those two teams are the Cavs and the Rockets, is what's been reported. So my question to people in the chat room right now, and especially G Money Joyner, what team would you rather have Melo go to? He has to leave New York. Obviously, to me, him staying in New York will be the best option, and they get some guys, to go around him. And I thought if you got somebody like a George Hill or something like that to go, with Melo and Porzingis and everything, that, that helps out, because now there's no triangle offense and everything, and it's a whole different day in New York. But that's not what we're talking about. If they're going to make the trade, what is going to be the better team for him to go to? Is it going to be Cleveland or is it going to be the Rockets? Cleveland or the Rockets? Cleveland or the Rockets? I've been battling with this all day, really trying to make up my mind, because if he goes to it, regardless, here's the thing: whichever team that he goes to, he's going to be happy because one of his best friends, one of his three best friends, is there. If he goes to Houston, Chris Paul is there. If he goes to, Cleveland, obviously LeBron is there. Those are, his best friends. So he's going to be happy, either way. But what is the better fit? I don't know, because remember, Melo and D'Antoni, they played, they worked together in New York. Maybe D'Antoni got a different way that he's going to go about it. So it changes up. But if he goes to Cleveland, you got to think him, LeBron. We all know LeBron loves to pass the ball. He loves to pass the ball, and make the right basketball play. And Melo has no problem putting that thing up. So maybe that's the right way, right team for him to go to. He stays in the East. You don't have, as many teams vying for the NBA Finals right now, that you would have in the West, because the West is stacked. The West is stacked. Look, if you go back and you look at the West, what it was before free agency and what it is now, the West is stacked. So I don't know. I think that probably is my deciding factor, is that if you go and you got a shot with you and James Harden and Chris Paul, and Capella and all those other boys, Trevor Ariza, you got a shot. But it's a lot of territory that you got to go through to get to the West. To get to the NBA Finals going through the West. If you go through the East, you got two teams at this point. Cleveland and Boston. And you got some other teams that's on the cusp, that maybe down the road or whatever. So I guess, having said all that, I'm going to go ahead and say Cleveland would probably be the better look for Melo to go to. Now, him, Kyrie, and LeBron, I don't know if Kyrie's going to necessarily just, concede some of that. He may. Steph did, with KD, but, that third wheel, that third player is pretty hard. Melo's not going to, obviously he's not going to be number one, but you can't expect him to be number two. You got to expect him to be what Kevin Love is. And that is a hard position to play when you've been the number one person all your life. And you're trying to figure out, how do I play number three? Not how do I play alongside someone. How do I play number three? Where any given night, it may not be my night. I don't know. But I'm going to say Cleveland is still his best spot. Going through the East, getting to the final, and then if they meet up with Golden State again, I think that matchup will work in his favor versus him trying to meet Golden State in the Western Conference Final and that matchup with the Golden State Warriors. So that's my pick. Put in the chat. I see y'all in there talking back and forth, but put in the chat what you think, what would be the ideal spot for Melo to go, Houston or Cleveland. I'm going to stick with Cleveland, and if they did and they trade him, guess what? If New York could get it, would you trade? I guess they would, maybe, but would you trade Kevin Love for Melo? If the finances would work, yeah, I think I would. I mean, you'll have Porzingis and Kevin. I don't know how that would work because both of them, kind of play the 4. Porzingis could play the 5, so you probably could make that work. And then you get yourself, a nice point guard, You got the kid from France. It might could work. But Melo to Cleveland is what I'm going to go with. So if you got something different, let me know. We'll go back in the chat, and talk about it. Now, what I want people to stop doing and stop talking about is we talked earlier about Gordon Hayward, going to the Boston Celtics. So this happens every year, with some player, not just basketball, just in sports, in general. A player been somewhere for umpteenth number of years or originally drafted there, found themselves and all this stuff and matured there. I went from, a kid to an adult, whatever. And then they go to another team and the situation changed and it's an opportunity, for them to get somewhere where they trying to, get, and they didn't think they could possibly get it, where they were at. And they want to put out, it was so hard to leave. And, to me, if you're going to matter of fact, if you're thinking about doing something like that, don't do it. Gordon Hayward, he put in this thing, to Utah about, he appreciate Utah and all this stuff. You don't have to do all that. Don't do no letter. No, don't do anything like that. Don't do no letter or whatever, because all you do is you make it worse. You make it worse when you do that, because then you start acting like, well, I wanted to stay, but no. At the end of the day, you decided to go. Well, go. And then to find out that you had someone ghostwrite your stuff for the situation, whether you were going to Miami, staying in Utah, or going to Boston, or whatever it was, you had that already completed. Stop. I would appreciate if Gordon had just said, take out an ad in the paper and just say, or something, or just say on Instagram, Twitter, whatever it is that you want, social media, and be like, yo, I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all was so great to me. I'll never forget it. I hope you respect my decision. I need it. This is what was best, for me at this current time. Boom. Done. That's it. Move on. Don't have to write no letter and all this stuff, because don't nobody want to hear it. Now the one thing I would say is these silly folks, I'm going to say something else, these silly folks that be out here burning jerseys and all this stuff. Y'all better stop burning these jerseys. If you haven't learned anything, from LeBron or whatever, all them people that burnt them LeBron jerseys or whatever, they showing up at the games and the jerseys got a bunch of holes in them because they still wearing them, because they like, look, I'm not finna buy another jersey, because if you leave again, then that's another $149 or however much they paid for the jersey that I got to pay, again. So stop burning jerseys out there, people. If they leave, just be adults about it. You don't have to like it, but you don't have to be burning their jersey. This doesn't mean anything. It's not like they're going to come back, on it. So that's what I got to say, about writing letters and all this stuff, man. No, nobody care about that, man. Lopan wrote a letter one time and nobody cared about that. So, yeah, so it's just like anybody can write a letter or whatever, just do a video or something like that. Yo, I appreciate it. Boom, boom, boom. And you're done. Done. That's it. You ain't got to do nothing else, So we're going to go ahead and talk about this boxing match from last week. I know it's a few days, past it, but I really don't want to talk about the match per se. I've yet to hear anybody other than Jeff Horn say that Jeff Horn won the fight, Well, I'm sorry. I think maybe Timothy Bradley